Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. And despite geoengineering being banned, despite all of the outrage, all of the complaints, and just common sense, they're still going ahead with it. These freaking technocrats, these non-governmental organizations, your tax dollars, hard at work, making sure that they push ahead with geoengineering. And though they claim they want transparency, out of the other side of the mouth, they, right there in the new report from the National Academy of Sciences, say, but secret testing is probably better. We're going to get into all of that, all of the different bans, all of the different outrages, and this new National Academy of Science report. And we're going to do a follow-up tomorrow because I have a special treat. We have the entire webinar meeting that they had over this report, and I'm going to react to that live. And it's over an hour worth of the technocrats themselves talking about their new report. And we're going to break it down in graphic detail. There may be some ad hominem. Grab your popcorn. It's going to be a fun night tomorrow night. But I wanted to go ahead and get this video out there for a couple reasons. I have literally been, many of you know I had a funeral last week. My niece and her twin sister were in a accident. Unfortunately, my niece Kaylee died in that accident. And since the wake and the funeral, I've been running 100 plus temperature, 103 for the first 2 days, and been bedridden for 4 days. I literally couldn't walk the next 2 days, and I've just got out of bed yesterday, and I feel up to making this video. So if I seem a little bitchier on edge, understand why. But regardless, if you're watching this anywhere else, please hit that subscribe button. Come over to ClimateViewer on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Every subscription helps. Click the bell. Apparently people are actually getting notifications. I don't know if that's just the algorithm taking a dump, or if they decided I'm out of purgatory and shadow ban jail, but we'll see about that. And now more than ever, your support would be greatly appreciated via PayPal or GoFundMe. It's been a very tight season. As many of you know, just everything drops off after Christmas. There's no money in this, what I do. I do this because I love it. So your support is always greatly appreciated. And thank you very much to everybody who supports me with a monthly donation on Patreon. So let's get right down to the details, because I want to make this video rather quick, but I'm Southern and I've never been able to make a quick video in my life. So we're going to try. Cross your fingers for me. We can't afford to stop solar geoengineering research. This is January 26, 2022 from MIT Technology Review, because we all know how smart the people at MIT are. Don't we? Anyway, it's the wrong time to take the strategy of combat climate change off the table. And they go into all the reasons why. Well, they had a Zoom call because there was 90-mile-per-hour winds with a suburban firestorm that flattened surrounding neighborhoods, and that's because climate change. And we got to preserve the Arctic ice with reflective hollow glass balls. We need to spread the glass balls everywhere. Otherwise, it's going to be bad. You about that life? I sound tired. I've been sick as a damn dog. I'm not going to say I had the Rona. I'm not going to say I had the flu because I don't know what the hell I had. But whatever I had, it punched me in the nuts. It pulled my shirt over my freaking head, and it took my lunch money for 5 days straight. So yeah, I'm just literally getting around to moving. And you'll hear it. Anyway, so meanwhile, one aisle over in the cryosphere area, people were jammed shoulder to shoulder despite the pandemic to hear about the collapsing doomsday glaciers. This in the context of the International Solar Geoengineering Non-Use Agreement proposed by a group of more than 60 senior scholars last week. They argue that the technology cannot be governed fairly and poses an unacceptable risk. That geoengineering proposes an unacceptable risk. I think we all agree on that. It is unacceptable to think that you can control the climate of the whole damn planet when you haven't been able to prove that cloud seeding works since 1946. You cannot prove the scientific efficacy of doing small-scale weather modification projects, yet you want to do geoengineering, blocking out the sun, reflecting sunlight, mimicking volcanoes artificially on a worldwide scale, giving some technocrat maniac the thermometer of the planet, and then actually believing that other countries and other individuals and other wealthy corporate entities aren't going to want to grab that thermostat as well. There are so many issues. Let's go through them. So even though there was a moratorium proposed over 10 years ago, what was that moratorium? It was the Convention for Biological Diversity. And back in 2011, the Convention for Biological Diversity at the COP10 conference basically said that no climate-related geoengineering activities that may affect biodiversity take place until there is adequate scientific basis on which to justify such activities and appropriate consideration of the associated risk for environmental and biodiversity and associated social and economic and cultural impacts, with the exception of small-scale scientific research studies that would be conducted in a controlled setting in accordance with blah, 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 blah. But regardless, that no climate-related geoengineering activities that may affect biodiversity take place. Now, this was in 2011. Most of you've never heard of this, but this was at the Convention on Biological Diversity at the COP10 conference, and they agreed that outdoor geoengineering experiments ixnay on that crap say. But it gets better. If you go over to weathermodificationhistory.com, by the way, all the links I'm talking to you about right now are already in the details of this video. Stratospheric Sulfur Geoengineering Benefits and Risks. This was written by Dr. Alan Robach, who I saw in person when I went to the Weather Modification Conference in 2018. At the American Meteorological Society in Austin, Texas, and he saw me and I saw him, and he promptly started walking twice as fast, but I was already interviewing Dr. James Roger Fleming, which I found to be more important at the time, and I didn't want to get up and diss my homeboy, my hero, in order to chase Alan Robach through the hallway. But I look forward to the day where I do get an interview with Alan Robach, because I do think he's a very interesting individual who has finally come to see the light. Because in his paper, he actually came up with, earlier it was, like 10 reasons why you shouldn't geoengineer. And now he's up to a list of 21 reasons. And, I'll just make this big image a little bigger so everybody can see it at home. But what you can see right here is, on the left, you got benefits, and he could only come up with 6, and the last 3 are really ridiculous. Reduce surface air temperatures, obvious reduced temperatures. Increase plant productivity, increase terrestrial CO2 sink, for beautiful red and yellow sunsets. Does anybody let me know in the comments, do you think that beautiful red and yellow sunsets is a good reason, a benefit from geoengineering? Anybody? 5, unexpected benefits. I mean, shit, it might rain, gumdrops. It was unexpected. We didn't know it would happen. But there are freaking jelly beans and gold bars falling from the sky. I mean, it rained diamond dust or diamonds in, neighborhoods. People are thoroughly stoked. We didn't expect it. Price of diamonds dropped significantly. Number 6, prospect of implementation could increase drive for mitigation. That's actually a threat, that if the prospect of implementation could increase drive for mitigation, you might actually stop farting out CO2 if we threaten you with the possibility of geoengineering. That's a benefit in his book. But regardless, you look at the list of 25 reasons not to geoengineer, and I think it becomes overwhelmingly clear that the 25 reasons on the right side are much worse and far outweigh the benefits on the other side. Drought in Africa and Asia, screw up the ecology with more diffuse radiation, ozone depletion, continued ocean acidification, acid freaking rain. May not stop ice sheets from melting, impacts on tropospheric chemistry. Oh, we're just going to screw up all the chemistry of the entire planet. Rapid warming if stopped. Hey, man, you got to do this shit forever. It's like freaking heroin. You know what I'm saying? You can't just switch it off. I mean, we'd have to come up with methadone. I don't know what a methadone version of geoengineering would be, but once you start geoengineering, if you stop, there will be a quick climate rebound, and whatever was going to happen before will now be exacerbated. It'll be worse. Less solar electricity generation. I thought that was the whole point, was to get on green energy. But how can you get on green energy if people are blocking out the sun? This is counterintuitive. I've never understood this conundrum. How can you be advocating for getting on green energy and going solar and all that stuff, but then saying, let's block out the sun? Degrade passive solar heating. Effects on airplanes flying through the stratosphere, effects on electrical properties of the atmosphere, affect satellite remote sensing. Oh yeah, blocking out the sun. You're also going to block out the stars, which means you can't use telescopes. And my grandchildren have a right to grow up in a world where you can see the mother effing stars. So that's kind of why I do what I do, and I've been doing it for 10 years, because I want my kids to grow up in a world where nature is still natural and the sky is not controlled by men. I don't trust anyone. I never will. You have to earn my trust, and I'll be damned if I will ever. There is no amount of money. There is a gun to my head, threat on my life, threat on my family's life. Nothing will make me bend the knee to a technocrat or politician, because they cannot be trusted. Period. Never will. Never will. And if you trust any politician or technocrat from some non-governmental organization like the Council on Foreign Relations or the freaking Harvard Solar Geoengineering Program or the Sierra Club or any of these, tax-free exempt organizations of freaking know-it-alls with their PhDs, their people hiding behind diplomas, they are not as smart as they act. I know, I've talked to them. They're pretty fucking dumb. And a lot of them, they maybe learn it on, books that were written hundreds of years ago and have a whole lot of philosophy. But A, they don't have any common sense, and B, they've never been punched in the face. And you haven't lived until you've been punched in the face. Trust me, I know. A lot of them like to punch them in the face. But regardless, more sunburn. Anybody want to sign up for more sunburn? I don't think so. Environmental impacts of implementation. Just generally screwing up the entire environment by dumping chemicals. What chemicals? Aluminum, titanium, sulfur, diamond dust, calcium, all kinds of chemicals. They've come up with all of these different ideas of chemicals to dump into the stratosphere to block sunlight, all of which will screw up weather on a worldwide basis. All of the computer modeling shows that it would affect rainfall patterns on a worldwide basis. This would all be bad, monumentally bad. So why are we still talking about this? Why are these sons of bitches still out there doing it? We'll get to that. Aesthetics, whiter skies. That's already happening. And that's happening because of ship tracks and airplanes. We all know it. We know that there's geoengineering already occurring. They don't want to address the ongoing geoengineering. They call it accidental geoengineering. When planes fart and make clouds, and when ships fart and make clouds, that's just called accidental geoengineering. That is just anthropogenic pollution, which is affecting the climate in an unknown manner. Recently watched the Dimming, great documentary for sharing. I guess it's my monthly shit on Dane Wigington public service announcement. If you watched The Dimming and you found it interesting, I want you to know that I've considered many times doing a watch party where I actually play that 2-hour conspiracy theory laden bullshit story that misuses so many documents and misuses images and mischaracterizes what's in those images, that I don't appreciate anybody suggesting that the dimming is legitimate science or even legitimate critical thinking at this point. Now, that's not to say that during the 2-hour presentation that he's put together that maybe there might be some truth in there, but I literally lost my lunch at about 30 minutes in, and I was sick to death. Dane is Al Gore 3.0. T. Oliver, that ninja is woke right there. Dane Wigington believes in global warming, believes that CO2 and methane is going to destroy the planet, and believes that geoengineering is necessary to save us from it, because he supports all of the same narratives that the Arctic Methane Emergency Group supports. Look up John Neeson, Arctic Methane Emergency Group. You can do that on weathermodificationhistory.com and know that Dane Wigington is a global warming believer, and that he is so full of shit. Not to mention he stole my patent list. I'm still pissed at him. If I ever see him, knock that motherfucker out. I don't care if he's strapped or not. I've heard the stories. That ain't gonna save his ass. Back to the story. So anyway, as you can see, whole lot of reasons why geoengineering is a bad idea. Dane Wigington's a bitch, and let's move along. So that was back in 2018, and we're moving forward now. We're up to 2021, and it seems even Greta Thunberg, young, impressionable, being used. Yes, all the above. But she did join with the ETC group, who runs geoengineeringmonitor.org, not geoengineeringwatch.org, geoengineeringmonitor.org. Dane claims to be against geoengineering. This video is not about Dane Wigington. I'm not going to take any more questions about that dumbass. If that's your cup of tea and you like fear porn mixed with a little bit of information and then going widely off the topic of geoengineering, straying into everything possible scary, then he's your guy. I mean, he's got the money to buy all of the freaking SEO robots that literally used to spam every video I made, everything I do. If fear porn's your thing, Dane's your guy. And I'm not saying don't go watch Dane Wigington's video, don't go to Dane's website. I'm telling you, go read everything on geoengineeringwatch.org. Go watch all of Dane Wigington's videos. I actually watched a video by Dane Wigington one time, and I can honestly say I agreed with about 70% of what he had to say. And then out came the just blatant, whether it's willful ignorance or just intentional misinformation. I go, that is clearly not true. Dude, those are freaking streamers that are on a plane that is being tested for the first time. Those are ballast pumps inside a plane. They do this to simulate fat people getting up out of their seat and running from the back of the plane to the front of the plane, because if you make a new plane, you got to move weight around in it rapidly in those pipes and pumps that everybody has photos of. And you can go look these up. They happen all the time. Wake vortex tests. The most prominent photo you see in every single Dane Wigington video is a wake vortex test where they actually attach smoke generators to the wings of the planes. And he claims that's chemtrails. And then the ballast tanks, which is where they move water around inside the plane to see if they can throw it off its tilt. And these are the two number 1 and 2 conspiracy, bullshit red alerts that I see in the geoengineering chemtrail world. I've been dealing with this for over 10 years. You cannot show me a photo and me not tell you where it came from. NASA Langley is 90% of the photos that he ends up getting. It's retarded. I mean, it's just retarded. I can't deal with that retardation. I'm just getting over my sickness. Y'all aren't going to get my heart rate up. Damn it. But anyway, Greta Thunberg, useful idiot. She came out on behalf of what was basically called the Stop Solar Geo campaign. Solar geoengineering, warnings from scientists, indigenous youth, and climate activists. And this too, Stop Scopex, solar geoengineering is not a plan B. And this was another really big one, because what you don't know about the ETC group and their website, geoengineeringmonitor.org, is that they've actually stopped a geoengineering program before. It was called the SPICE project, Stratospheric Particle Injection for Climate Engineering, SPICE. They were going to spray some chemicals in the sky, and ETC group wrote letters to world leaders, went to the COP conference, COP 21, all that kind of stuff, those kind of conferences, and they put a stop to that experiment. When David Keith wanted to launch SCOPEX, the Stratospheric Controlled Perturbation Experiment, they deflated his balloon, not once, but twice. He wanted to launch it in Arizona, fail. Then he wanted to launch it in Norway, fail. Why? Because of the ETC group. So if you don't know who ETC group is, or geoengineeringmonitor.org, that's an actual activist group, which is a 501c3, which is kicking the asses of geoengineers on the regular. So do they have my support, even though they believe fully in the CO2 based narrative of climate change? Sure. But they have my full support because they're effective. And they too came out with a ban on geoengineering. And this isn't the only ban on geoengineering they have. If you come back over to weathermodificationhistory.com, you can actually see, let me go back to the timeline. They came up with this hands off Mother Earth manifesto right here. And we'll do this real quick. Scroll with all the references and junk. But that's what it looked like. Hands off Mother Earth. This was in 2018. 110 civil society organizations and popular movements demand an immediate stop to climate engineering. Hands off Mother Earth. Our home is not a laboratory. Love it. But that's ETC Group's logo right there, just so we're all clear. So there's been a lot of opposition to geoengineering. Most recently, in 2022, solargeoeng.org, the Solar Geoengineering Non-Use Agreement. We call for an international non-use agreement on solar geoengineering. Now we're getting somewhere, because these dudes, this is a bunch of scientists. Interesting. There are growing calls in recent years for research on solar geoengineering, a set of entirely speculative technologies to reduce incoming sunlight on Earth in order to limit global warming. Our initiative stands against such emerging initiatives to explore planetary techno-fixes as a climate policy option. Solar geoengineering deployment at planetary scale cannot be fairly and effectively governed in its current system of international institutions. It also poses unacceptable risk, like we talked about earlier, if ever implemented as a part of future climate policy. A strong political message from governments, the United Nations, and civil society is urgently needed. And as I showed you, there's already been much of that. There have been numerous accounts where people have said, enough is enough. We don't want geoengineering. And here's the actual peer-reviewed publication from all of these beautiful authors. Mwah! Love you. Solar geoengineering, the case for an international non-use agreement. Let's not go there. Let's just not do it. Satellites don't exist. Your brain does not exist. I had a one moment for the flat earthers. Do you believe that there are no satellites because weather radars, TV antennas, all that stuff are on mountaintops? And therefore there are no satellites because you cannot see them? You cannot see a fart, but you can smell and taste it. And that's been our public service announcement. Flat Earth is full retard. Don't go full retard. So obviously there's been a lot of outrage over this, which has not stopped this. Reflecting Sunlight Recommendations for Solar Geoengineering Research and Research Governance 2021. This is from the National Academy of Sciences. Diane Renee, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi, Jim. In PA, we have more gray skies than sunny days, and heavenly foggy today. Are they spraying out fog mist in the atmosphere? It's bad. Man, I'm telling you, the plane issue is a issue, and it's one that I've talked about more than anything, and always just brings out so many things. But yeah, depending on where you live, especially you live in Pennsylvania, you're in one of the heaviest flight corridors there is. So you're going to get a buildup of atmospheric aerosols, all of which work as cloud seeds, all the water vapor shooting down from Canada, that Arctic breeze. Y'all just have it bad up there. Your sky is a soup of shit. And luckily here in South Carolina, I don't have to deal with it as much because, technically, I guess we're flyover country, but not very many people are flying over. Luckily, most of them fly over the ocean and the wind's blowing it out to sea. So I don't really expect, experiences as much as most. But I have webcams all over the world, me personally. And I'm constantly looking at them, and I feel for you. I hope that we can put an end to this. I went to Washington, D.C. and spoke out against airplane pollution and cloud creation by airplanes in 2015. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it, reshare it. But yeah, it's a serious issue. It is, as they put it, accidental geoengineering and cloud or sky brightening. Look up Chuck Long, sky brightening. It's bad stuff. So the National Academy of Sciences went ahead and put out this report. And their last report was in 2015. It was called Climate Intervention. So it's been a minute. But 2015, now it's 2021. I guess they had to update their official stance on all this. And I'm not going to read the whole thing to you because I do want to save their entire webinar where they kind of explain this whole thing. Not to mention it's like over 300 pages long. So that might make this an extremely long video. But as you can see here, this was by the Committee on Developing a Research Agenda and Research Governance Approaches for Climate Intervention Strategies that Reflect Sunlight to Cool the Earth. I love it when a bunch of scientists make a freaking spelling error. Why does that tickle me so much? I am tickled shitless. Anyway, Board of Atmospheric Science and Climate Division of Earth and Life Studies. Yeah. Nerds. Washington, D.C. So I started looking through this and I was like, well, what would be the most interesting parts to bring to your attention? Because there's a lot here, names, who's involved, Stanford, University of British Columbia, Colorado, Union of Concerned Scientists, Stanford Law, the usual brainiacs that the government goes to, put together exactly what they want to hear. But then, of course, you see the names that we all have come to love and hate. Where were they? Right, sure. There's Alan Robach. Glad he was there. Robert Wood. I don't think you guys really are familiar with him, but I am. And what? Frank Koich. Chat. Anybody could tell me who Frank Koich is? Anybody? I know there's a delay. This kind of sucks. So I'm going to give you the answer. But Frank Koich is part of the Harvard Solar Geoengineering program and head of SCOPEX, which is David Keith's geoengineering program, which was funded by Bill Gates and is now funded by Harvard's Solar Geoengineering program. So Frank Koich is SCOPEX, is David Keith's right-hand man, is the guy who wants to do the outdoor field experiments with the balloon spraying the chemicals. Frank Koich. But of course, you got to know your research. You got to know your history and all this stuff to even be able to, you just scroll right past this and be like, oh, Frank Koich. Sounds like a German. I don't know. But yeah, I know all these names. Regardless, I wanted to like pick out what I thought might be most interesting to you guys. So what I did was I went and I grabbed the PDF, which has the entire 328 pages, and I've read about 75% of it today, this morning. And what I found most interesting was down here in the sections where you can see, let's go to the table of contents, just so you can see what's going on here. Doop, doop, doo. Table of contents. Introduction, assessment of current solar geoengineering research, and so they go over what all's going on now. Context and key considerations for solar geoengineering research and research governance. A solar geoengineering research program, goals and approaches. Solar geoengineering research governance, laws from technocrats on high on how to govern geoengineering. An integrated agenda for solar geoengineering research. Now, this is where the pedal hits the metal, the meat hits the road. And I saw this section right here, outdoor solar geoengineering experimentation. Thought that might be the most interesting for you because that's where we live and that's where they can affect us. So I went straight there. And what did I find? General consideration for setting thresholds for outdoor solar geoengineering experiments. The committee believes that the thresholds for outdoor experimentation should address both the impacts of potential perturbation on the climate and the impacts of test materials on the environment. These dual concerns about outdoor experimentation motivate a dual threshold requirements based on the experiment, expected global mean surface temperature change, and the mass of materials injected into the atmosphere that are described below. The proposed limits are based on the approach that erring on the conservative side being sufficient for a variety of experiments that address priority research questions based on past studies, including analogs. In the committee's judgment, the experimentation at the proposed scale has the potential to provide valuable knowledge, helping to resolve many critical process level uncertainties, presenting justification for the small amount of impact risk within and across national boundaries. A practical challenge in setting and enforcing these sorts of thresholds for outdoor experimentation is that research activities are undertaken and sponsored by multiple countries and other non-governmental technocrat entities. I just pulled a Joe Biden. Technocrat. Oh Lord, I tickle myself. It's better than just feeling sick. I gotta get a tickle out of this, right? There. Let me clear my throat and grab a coffee. This intermission brought to you by coffee. It's the other milk. Woosah. So, the potential for multiple independent experiments to have a larger aggregate effect on global temperature also makes it challenging to set firm thresholds for outdoor experimentation by individual countries. Thus, the committee suggests a threshold for individual experiments as well as for aggregated effects of all outdoor experiments conducted globally within a given year. The contribution from outdoor experiments should be conducted by individual countries, including the United States, should be well below these global aggregate thresholds. Furthermore, the committee has taken a precautionary approach in choosing relatively conservative thresholds to allow for the possibility that, lacking the necessary governance and coordination, outdoor experiments could be undertaken without full disclosure to governments, the global scientific community, and the public. You mean people could do this shit in secret? What? Have I ever spoken with Pacific Redwood? I think we spoke one time via email. We talked about setting up an interview, and it just never happened. And I need to revisit that. I think the guy's hella interesting. But isn't he a flat earth? No, I don't know. I mean, we can disagree on whether the earth is flat and still talk about geoengineering and weather control. Because, like I said since the beginning, I don't care whether you think the earth is round or flat. Stop fucking with me about it. Anyway, so this consideration motivates the recommendation that the temperature thresholds for individual experiments be 2 orders of magnitude below detection limits. This consideration motivates the recommendation that the temperature thresholds for individual experiments be 2 orders of magnitude below detection limits. Because if you go and you do geoengineering experiments and they're 2 orders of magnitude below detection limits, then nobody's going to catch you doing it, and we're not going to raise hell on Jim's channel or elsewhere, or the scientific community won't raise hell. And Diane Wolf, I would gladly go on Russell Brand's channel, or anybody, Joe Rogan, God forbid you get me on there. I will blow the lid off this, because nobody has ever been on any prominent anything with a quarter of the knowledge I have on this topic. They always get derided, made fun of. You're just a chemtard. Well, you know, geoengineering's not really a thing. It's not really happening. Weather control, that's not a thing. Oh yeah, there was Popeye, but they're not really doing it like that today. If I could ever get my name out there and get the opportunity, I don't care if I'm on death's door, I will freaking gargle some, Listerine, and I will put on my smiley face, and I will be there with bells on and ring them shits till everybody hears the truth, because I care about this topic way too much not to. That being said, so even in their own documentation here, they're saying we want to make sure that this stuff is undetectable in this new report. That, doing outdoor experiments with geoengineering, okay, as long as, you make sure that it's small and undetectable. And I'm reading chat. Dude, if I went on Joe Rogan, I would blow his fucking mind. And I mean, the guy knows he knows a little bit about everything. But, I mean, didn't he have Mick West on? The chemtrail debunker, Darth Vader of chemtrails, liar, manipulator. Anyway. Yeah, he needs the opposing view, the actual facts. But yeah, I was interviewed by InfoWars when I went and I spoke at G. Edward Griffin's conference. And when I showed him the NSA spy facility map, the 2 people there interviewing me were like, Alex Jones is going to, flip his lid. Oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And the minute they cut the camera off, I looked at both of them. I said, this will never show up on InfoWars. And they're like, why would you say that? I was like, wait till you get back to the office. Here's my card. If you got the guts, email me why. Because I'd love to know why. None of these people want the truth. None of them. I don't understand it. I never will. But I'm gonna spit it like it's real, because guess what? Ain't nothing but I'm the mayor of Realville right now, and I got nothing to lose. I mean, the only thing I do this for is to get the truth out there. I am not a scientist. I am just, self-educated. I taught myself programming, graphics design, hacking, internet security, like you wouldn't believe. And as a result, I'm able to find anything on the internet. If you fart on the internet, I will find your ass. And I will be able to track each individual molecule of fart you left on the internet. So when these people fart on the internet with their mouths and they say things like, I don't know, like this. I got no sound. Where's the sound? Why is there no sound? Oof. Oof. Let me fix the sound. Gots to fix the sound. Because it's set on my stereo, not my audios.
Research in this area. We didn't deal specifically with that, but our piece, the equally important part of this report is about governance mechanisms. I think that's what Al's going to speak to. He was the lead on that, or one of the leads on that chapter. But the question of military, the military research in this area. We didn't deal specifically with that, but our whole recommendation and governance rests on transparency and public engagement of being completely open about the kinds of research that are going forward. And I'm not an expert in this, but my guess is that the military control of this would be not conducive to a transparent research program. So that's we really have this as a fundamental building block of our governance mechanisms, is to be transparent.
So she claims that, this Academy report, fundamentally says that we should be transparent. But then I just read you where they said they want to make sure that any outdoor experimentation is not, traceable, make sure that it's undetectable. And you got to ask the question, why? But then this Asian looking fella here is about to say what I've been saying all along, what I've been saying in my solution, the Environmental Modification Accountability Act, that, there has got to be transparency in a publicly available format. Will we get that? Let's see what he has to say.
Yes, and what I would add is that, some of the specific governance mechanisms, in addition to the ones that I already mentioned earlier, include, establishment of a research registry where researchers would be expected to, make their experiments as well as their ultimate data and findings available, on that registry, as well as other mechanisms that we recommend for transparency. And that the fact that these recommendations are aimed towards not just, let's say, the government, but to the researchers themselves, to funders of researchers, et cetera, I think would help to ensure that transparency would be promoted.
Thanks.
Thank you both.
And then she goes on to talk about climate justice. But he said a key word there, registry. And like I said, my solution, the NMOD solution, at least, if you go to climateviewer.com/NMOD, or if you just click right here, because it's on the bottom of every single page of weathermodificationhistory.com, the Environmental Modification Accountability Act, you can see the presentation, download the PowerPoint presentation yourself, or you can go to the page and you'll see that one of the things I called for is a international registry of atmospheric experimentation. And that's exactly what he just said, that there should be a registry where everybody has to go and say, if you're going to screw with the sky, we need to know. And I say the registry must be publicly available on a website as well as available in hard copy, and that the registry should include intention, funding sources, operator, area of effect, hours of operation, and duration of an event. These are the kinds of ways that in the future we will be able to put an end to this. And that you got to tell the International Registry of Atmospheric Experimentation at a minimum 48 hours prior to initiation for small things like cloud seeding. For bigger things like geoengineering experiments, months in advance. And you might think that I was just the only one that thought this was a good idea. And so I reached out to the top 2 geoengineers on the planet to say, what do you think? And David Keith of Scopex said, I think the public notice makes sense because I think transparency is very important for building trust. I think 48 hours is much too short a period. I think a longer period makes sense to enable public comment on experiments. Obviously, one challenge is to define what constitutes an experiment. Most sensor networks already have public data access. Happy to lobby for more public access. I call David Keith a geoengineering lobbyist. That's an inside joke, but this was via email, so I kind of thought that was funny. It was funny. And then Dr. Ken Caldera. My first impression is that you're trying to solve a non-problem. I don't think there are any bad actors who want to engage in experiments that have the potential for producing long-lasting damage. Further, but he says, I will find, just read it. I would like to think that such bad actors, were they to exist or were they attempting to do so at scale, could most easily be found through traditional intelligence techniques, monitoring of financial transactions, monitoring of communications, satellite observations of ground activities, and that a network of atmospheric monitoring would be a relatively ineffective way of detecting such a program. That's just stupid. Further, I find that us and them framing of your email a bit disconcerting. Are the scientists also citizens? Wouldn't we all want more transparency in the conduct of potentially damaging experiments? You never said you would, but I'm assuming that you're saying that. Also, the devil's in the details. For example, what's an atmospheric experiment? Both of them had that thing. So I went back in my thing, and as far as atmospheric experimentation definition, I got real legit with that thing. So that this was revised afterwards, and I was like, okay, releasing of chemicals, modification of pollution sources like jet fuel doping, uses of bunker fuel in ship tracks, any other technique that results directly in cloud creation or control, electromagnetic or sonic energy, ionospheric heaters, lasers, cloud ionizers, resonance technologies, any other technique that modifies atmospheric rivers, jet streams, pressure zones, ionosphere, release of chemicals for cloud seeding, sounding rockets, tracer experiments. Could I be any more specific? And then blanket, big ass blanket over the rest of everything. Any other technique that intentionally alters temperature, rainfall, cloud cover, or any other measurable change in climate or weather. That clear enough for you? So I think I covered it all. And but anyway, even he says, I'm making an effort in my own life to focus on solving real problems and not waste my time purely with hypothetical problems. But he also says, yeah, we need transparency. Dr. Renaud de Richter, I don't oppose NMOD at all. In fact, we need it. And of course, Ken's whole thing was, and has been for a very long time. I'm just going to summarize with this story. When I started arguing with Ken Caldera was in 2011 on his own forum. And he vehemently denied the possibility that geoengineering could be used by the military for any purpose. And I said, well, you're just either willfully ignorant or you're a liar. And it, I continued to debate Ken Caldera and company on his forum till late 2012. All of my posts on that forum, I can share them with you, but it's really not that important right now. They're very heady debates, and I don't think that it would be really beneficial to the end of a video right now. But ironically, it was Alan Robach who got a call from the CIA asking him if somebody was controlling the weather over America, would we know it? That changed even Alan Robach's mind, and he added to that list of the 27 reasons, number 26, military use of technology. And what did they just talk about on here? Yeah! They talked about military use of the technology. Memo, hey, I appreciate you, brother, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Jim, the earth is flat and satellites don't exist. You're smart enough to figure it out. You can do it. We believe in you. Hey, man, I appreciate it. And I'm gonna give you a capitulation. The day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong. So I could be wrong. I could be so wrong, and the earth could be flat. And you know what? There will still be men, women, technocrats, assholes trying to control the weather over that flat earth or around that round globe. And whether you believe the earth is round or flat, you should care about people blocking out the sun and screwing with the weather. I think we have that in common, and that should be our starting point. So I respect your right to think differently, although I do think you're ignorant, because I have done more than enough studying on the flat earth theory to realize that it is not real. But I do appreciate your support. And I see you in chat every day, Memo Lee. So I know that I know you got some love for me, even though I talk smack to flat earthers, because it's fun to jab at people. And this is all in fun. Whenever I'm picking on flat earthers, because I used to be a conspiratard of sorts. When it comes to chemtrails, at the very least. And as I've grown older and as I've learned more, I've realized more and more that I don't know shit about shit, and I continually learn new things. But, just like the lady was saying here, an
important issue.
Military.
But my guess is that the military control of this would be not conducive to a transparent research program. So.
Yeah, because the military keeps secrets. That's why. I mean, you guys heard it here. Anyway, we're going to go through this entire PowerPoint, or they go through the PowerPoint presentation. You can see it up here at the beginning. Everything from cirrus cloud thinning, all the different ideas. Key messages that they have, conclusions, and all of that junk. And we'll play the whole thing and see where it goes, because I don't even want to spoil it. I'm not going to watch it in advance because I want to react to it. I tend to pick up on lies and bullshit as it's occurring pretty rapidly, so I want to give you my unbiased reaction to this video. And we'll do that probably tomorrow evening. I say 9 o'clock-ish Eastern. And I hope you guys will tune in for that. But let me know in the comments what you think. So the Convention on Biological Diversity banned outdoor experiments of geoengineering in 2011. ETC Group called for a ban on geoengineering. Dr. Alan Robach, 27 reasons why we shouldn't geoengineer. Now we've got the solar geoengineering international non-use agreement website, the hashtag stop solar geoengineering movement. There are so many people who are coming out against geoengineering. What do you think it's going to take to get through to these people? Let me know in the comments. Because I don't know, short of literally going down there and breaking things. I mean civil disobedience, being civil disobedient near them, near the people who are making these policies, near the people who are pushing this geoengineering propaganda and research. But I am a firm believer in being peaceful and handling things peacefully till there is no other option. That's what I teach my daughters. That's a moral that I've carried my entire life. At first, I will warn you, I don't want to fight you. Leave me alone. Secondly, I will try to get away. I will try to leave. But when you give me no option and you put your hands on me, I'll let you know. I have multiple black belts. I've been in over 100 fights. I've never lost one. From the 450-pound Hawaiian inmates that I oversaw at Florence Correctional Center in Florence, Arizona, to the linebackers on the football team in high school, this 160-pound man don't take no shit. And my daughter's 12 years old. She's got an orange belt in mixed martial arts, and she throws around the black belts in her class. Those boys, I feel sorry for them. But I think that it's incumbent on everybody to understand that when I say attack ideas, not people, I mean that. That you can say whatever you like. You can call people retard. You can call people bitch. You can say whatever you like. It does not give anybody the right to then put their hands on you. Dane would fuck you up. Let's be real. I'm gonna put this out there. I will put $10,000 up for grabs if Dane Wigington will fight me. I mean, this is funny because Dane's got about a foot on me. It will be the quickest ass whooping you ever seen in your life. And I mean that. I totally mean that. This guy right here. All right. I am not a huge guy. All right. But once I decide to punch that motherfucker, that's it. It's over. It is fucking over. Right in the neck. Pulse right. You guys have no idea how much I love fighting. You really just tickled the shit. Dane Wigington would beat my ass. Oh my god, that's classic. That's fucking classic. Hey, you got me. You got me. It would be too much fun. But of course I'd give him all the chance to, Dane doesn't have the freaking balls to debate me. There is no way that would happen. And I would not pick a fight with him. Seriously. But if we could sanction an actual legit fight, not where he goes, oh, I want to box because I'm I'm a martial artist. I don't just box. I mean, just not a thing. I use every part of my body up to and including my teeth. Just there are no fair rules. There are no rules in fighting. Like, even I get in trouble at the MMA class. I got in trouble at the prison. Anyway, we won't go into all that. Man, y'all got me just chatting today. The chat's killing me, man. You guys are just cracking me up. Where's it at? You guys need to stop. You just need behave, chat. Behave. But yeah, it would definitely be up for sale, streamed live, and then it would be a source of much laughter for many years to come. But I don't think that would be the best way for the differences to be solved between us. However, I do look forward to, just going ahead and watching the dumbing and doing a watch party, and then watching him lose his fucking mind and counter copyright strike my channel for daring to comment on his video. And we'll go down that road. Why not? Because that'll hurt him a hell of a lot worse than a good ass cutting. Because I don't think he deserves an ass cutting. I mean, he's not a threat to me. But that being said, if I ever do see him and he, puts his hands on me, that'll be the last mistake he ever makes. I promise you that. But anyway, that being said, you guys are a naughty bunch of chatters. And I appreciate y'all sticking it out to the end of this video. Y'all just gonna get me in so much trouble. My wife is probably watching this right now over at her sister's house going, Tim, you said you were gonna work. Tim, I told you, we need to make some money, pay some bills, and we're kind of behind on everything because you've been sick and you haven't been able to do anything. And this is what you get on the internet and do? Talk about beating up Dane Wigington and calling the flat earthers retards again? We're never ever gonna grow the channel. Oh shit. What do you do, man? I mean, I get heated about this geoengineering stuff. I'm passionate about the weather control and the microwave weapons and all that sort of stuff. But you gotta have some fun with it. But that being said, if you haven't already, please gently smush that like button. Don't break it. People are constantly smashing it. It has feelings. The like button has feelings. The dislike button apparently doesn't do anything anymore. So you can click that too. It doesn't really matter. They're censoring that shit. But everything I'm doing is open source, so somebody may have downloaded this video and uploaded it to Dane Wigington's website. So if you're watching this somewhere else, please come back home and hit me up on YouTube. Just put in the word ClimateViewer, all one word, no space, and you'll find my channel, or use the link provided on the screen. You can join my Patreon. You do get a discount on my merch shop. And I will be putting out a weekly newsletter once I get to where I'm not sick, because I do plan on doing a show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and having a live chat similar to what just happened at the end of this video on Sundays. So hopefully that's going to be the new schedule, with the Manic Mondays and the Worldwide Wednesdays and the Throwback Thursday, where I just do weather modification history and talk about history on Thursdays. And if you guys can support me with a one-time donation on PayPal or GoFundMe right now, it'd be greatly appreciated because I'm up to my neck in bills and YouTube surely ain't paying them. So I only get by with a little help from my friends, and I know my friends are always going to look out for me. That being said, to the guy in chat, he's just like, I must have missed something. What about Dane? Somebody else fill him in on that. It's a constant running meme on the channel. People come in and they go, satellites aren't real, and oh, have you watched Dane Wigington's newest thing? It's just it's an ongoing thing with the channel. Flat Earth and Dane retard. I mean, flat retard and Dane Earth. Anyway. Love you guys, mean it. Geoengineering still coming, still being funded by the National Academy of Sciences, the National Science Foundation, Harvard, and all of the Ivy League assholes that think that spraying the sky with chemicals and blocking sunlight's a great idea, despite all of the reasons you should not do such a thing ever, despite even all the scientists saying that it's a bad idea. It's still on the way, which means we have more work to do. So grab that information, memorize it, because with information comes power, and with power comes great responsibility. Please use that information and all the information from my websites and other people's websites, because guess what? The day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong. Grab all the information you can and use it to attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it.